Hey everyone, Sarush here from SK Talks Games. In this video, I want to talk to you about how to dump your Nintendo DS games cartridges using your homebrewed Nintendo 3DS. There are a couple of reasons as to why you might want to do something like this. For me personally, the number one reason is the fact that I can make sure my actual physical game cartridge can stay at home in a box somewhere safe and sound, and I'll still have access to my entire DS library on my 3DS. The number two reason is the fact that once you do dump your games cartridge, you can actually move that file around between different devices. So you're not just limited to playing it using your 3DS. You can actually play it on, I don't know, like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally X or whatever device you want to use. Now, if you decide that you want to play your DS games on your 3DS after dumping them, there's actually a couple of ways of doing this. There are advantages and disadvantages to both ways. So once we finish talking about how to dump your cartridge, we're going to talk about those different ways of playing the games using your 3DS. Now, just before we get started, I need to mention that you have to have access to a homebrewed Nintendo 3DS. If your 3DS isn't homebrewed yet, there's going to be a link down in the description that you can follow to learn how to homebrew your 3DS. So if that's the case, go and do that and come back to this video once your 3DS is homebrewed. To do this, you need to make sure you put the DS game cartridge into your 3DS, make sure the game comes up, and then we're going to actually switch our 3DS off. So make sure it powers off completely, make sure both these lights or whatever light you've got here is off, and then we're actually going to go into God mode. So in order to do that, hold down the start button and press the power button, and you'll get this screen here. We're going to pick God mode 9 and press A. Once we get this screen, we're going to go down to Game Cart. Once you get to this screen, you need to make sure you press A on the file that ends with .nds. And once you get to this screen, you want to go down to the option that says Copy to GM9 Out and press A on that one. And after that, you're just going to have to put your DS down and let it do its thing. So I'm going to cut this and come back once that process is done. All right, once the process is finished, you're going to get a message that says your file was copied to GM9 out. At this point in time, you want to press A, you want to press the home button, and then reboot system. So once you're back in your 3DS, you can actually take out the DS cartridge out of the system, and we want to make sure the file has been dumped properly. So what you want to do is you want to go into the FBI app here, open it, then go into SD and go all the way down to the folder that's called GM9, and then go into your out folder. This is the folder that God Mode 9 automatically outputs your dumped files into. And as you can see, I've already dumped a couple of my Nintendo DS games cartridges into my 3DS. The one I'm interested in at the moment is this one here, Pokemon W, which is Pokemon White. Now at this point, I know for a fact that my DS cartridge has been backed up and dumped into the SD card. So the next thing I want to do is I want to actually play the game on the 3DS. Now there are a couple of ways of doing this, so you're not just limited to one way, which is great. The first way and the easiest way in my opinion to do this is by using Twilight Menu++ on the 3DS. So in order to do that, you need to actually download it using Universal Updater. So go ahead and go into Universal Updater. In Universal Updater, you then want to go and find Twilight Menu++. If for whatever reason it doesn't come up for you on the home screen, you can just search for it by tapping on the magnifying glass and just searching for Twilight Menu. I've got mine right over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press A on it. So you do have access to some add-ons. I'm not particularly worried about that. I just want Twilight Menu++. So I'm going to pick that one and press A and then confirm. And you can see it's already started downloading. Now, this might take a little while, particularly with Twilight Menu++. For some reason, there's a bunch of different things it needs to download and install onto your device. So I'd say at this point in time, just sit with your device and let it do its thing. Just make sure when prompts come up, you press confirm or press OK or whatever you need to do. Just wait for it to do its thing. So I'm going to come back once the prompt comes up. I'll show you what it looks like. And then later we'll go back and show you what it actually looks like on the system once it's done downloading and installing. So this is where you get this message that says action required. All you want to do is just tap on it and then tap on confirm. And at this point it says Twilight Menu++ succeeded. So you can now get out of Universal Updater. And you can see it comes up as new software has been added to the home menu. If we open it, it's Twilight Menu. So the first time you launch Twilight Menu++, it might take a while to just put things into place, to install whatever it needs. But then after a while, you're presented with the DS start screen. So touch the screen to start. Now, once you do get into Twilight Menu++, you actually want to press B and go all the way back to the root directory of your 3DS. So keep pressing B until you can't go back anymore. So that means you're at the root directory of your SD card. And then you want to scroll and find GM9. This is the folder where we know we saw the DS dumped file on the SD card. So you want to press A to go into that, and we want to go into out. You can see those 3 DS games that are dumped before. They're all sitting here ready to go. And at this point, I can pick whichever one I want. So we just dumped Pokemon White. So I can just start that game here. Again, the first time you run it is going to do a couple of things like creating save files or whatever it needs to do. So it might take a little while to launch, but after the first time setting up is done, it's a lot faster to launch the game. So you can see Pokemon White game cartridge is sitting on the side, is not in here. I'm running it on my 3DS without actually needing to physically insert the game cartridge into the device using Twilight Menu++. So this is, like I said, probably the easiest and most straightforward way of running DS games using your 3DS. But personally, I prefer to be able to access these games directly from the home screen, like I do with my 3DS games. Let me show you how to do that. So in order to put your dumped Nintendo DS games directly on the home screen of your 3DS, which means you won't have to go through Twilight Menu++'s menus and everything, again, you need to go back to Universal Updater. So we're going to make sure we're connected to the internet, and we'll go into Universal Updater. So once you get into Universal Updater, you actually need to download 2 separate apps. In my opinion, the fastest way of finding those 2 apps is by just searching for NDS. So I'm going to go into the search part of this app and search for NDS and then press OK. So once that comes up, I'm actually going to need to download NDS Bootstrap. Now, I've already downloaded this, and the process of uninstalling it is actually quite complicated and convoluted. So I've decided to leave it as is. But if you haven't downloaded this already, you can just press A on it and then press A again to download it. Like I said, I've already got this, so I don't need to worry about it. But the second app that you need to download is this one here, NDS Forwarder. Again, I've already got this downloaded, ready to go on my 3DS, so I'm not going to do that again. Since you don't have it, just press A and press A again to download this. Once you have both of these apps downloaded and installed on your 3DS, you now want to go back to your main menu. So once you're back in the home menu, you now want to go into the Homebrew launcher. Once in here, you want to go ahead and find NDS Forwarder generator. So press A on that. So once you open up the NDS Forwarder generator, this is the first thing you're going to see. The very first option is always install all NDS. I don't particularly like using that because I don't want to have access to all of my DS games on my 3DS on the home screen. I want to pick and choose which ones I have access to. So what you want to do, if that's what you want, is to, again, go all the way down to GM9 folder. Here it is, go into it, go into out, and then you want to find Pokemon White. So the one that we just dumped, we want to go and press A on that one. It says, do you want to install it? You say yes, or you just tap on it. Install complete, press OK, or press A. Now we can actually get out of this. So if I press the home button and press X, you see I've got this message again that says new software has been added to the home screen. So if I press OK and go and find the app that was just added, you can see it's Pokemon White version Nintendo. So we open it and that's our game. That's the same game I had before. And from this point on, I can access my DS games straight from my home screen. Launching DS games using this method, just like in Twilight Menu, does take a little bit longer when you do it the first time. It's just because it needs to create some save files and I don't know what else it needs to do. But the first time usually takes a little bit longer than it feels like is normal. You can see this is still loading. That's completely fine. I'm just going to put it down. I'll wait for it to do its thing and I'll come back when it's ready. All right. So there it is. Yep. Pokemon White. So that's about it. If you found this helpful, liking the video helps me a lot. I really appreciate it. And subscribing to the channel is also great if you want to see more content like this. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.